Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. Okay, and welcome to 2024. And in this first video of 2024, we are going to be doing an unboxing of Assault on Doomrock, the Ultimate Edition. Now, real quick, before we get into this unboxing, I need to address a little bit of controversy about this game. So if you want to know more details, please go to BGG and look at the locked thread there. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but there is one card in the US edition of Assault on Doomrock that has caused some controversy. The designer used an old meme and he didn't realize that the meme had been co-opted by the alt-right in America. You know, those stupid neo-Nazi fascist people in America. And he used an image and a saying on one of the cards. He found out about it. He apologized. He had the card was supposed to be removed. It got removed from the German version, but there was a mistake, a human error, and it ended up being included in the American version. And I did print out his response on BGG. I just want to read a little bit. Hello, everyone. First of all, let me make it clear that I stand in complete opposition to fascism and alt-right ideology. I want to apologize for the mistake of adding this card to the game. I really meant to remove it after the initial contact with reality. As hard as it might be to believe, when we were developing the new edition of Doomrock many years ago, I had no idea of the meaning of Kek other than an alternative to LOL from the video game StarCraft and World of Warcraft, which is where I first heard it over 20 years ago, well before it got co-opted by the alt-right. See the history of the phrase here. So not knowing at all that the Kek had taken on a new and terrible meaning, when I stumbled across the Kekistan flag, I don't even know what that is, I thought it was a funny image and the equivalent of saying Lawlistan, and actually making fun of Nazis, since I found it to be a parody of the flag. Perhaps not a humor for everyone, but I had no ill intentions. Since Doomrock has always focused on silly humor, I included it in the game. And I think his apology is good. I am willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, especially remember this. In the first edition of Assault on Doomrock, this same designer got the I love you ASL sign confused with the Devil Horns metal sign. And this was supposed to, on the token, there's like 50 of these tokens, and it was supposed to be a Devil Horns metal sign, like kind of like a badass token. And instead, it's an I love you token. So I think maybe the designer has some issues with understanding maybe some pop culture references in America. I believe he is Polish. But so that's all I'm going to spend time on that. You can make up your own mind if you believe his apology. And if you still want to play the game, that is up to you. I am choosing to give him the benefit of the doubt and believe that he is not a bad guy. So let's get to the unboxing. So I was a backer of this, a late backer. I was going to back it, but it was really expensive and I didn't have the money at the time. And then just a while ago, I decided to pull the trigger and be a late backer just because of, I like this game quite a bit. We have taken a look at the original version before on the channel. And I think we will do maybe a little bit of a comparison after the unboxing. This is probably going to be kind of a long and casual unboxing here. But one of the reasons why I really did want this new Ultimate Edition is because of this little expansion right here, the roguelike expansion. Whenever I see the word roguelike or roguelite associated with a board game, it gets my attention, and I'm really curious about how this little deck of cards is used. I have no idea. I did not follow the campaign at all, so I'm not even really sure what is in this box, but let's take a look at it here. 1 to 4 players here, 60 minutes. Wow, unless he did a lot of redesign, that 60 minutes is a straight up fabrication there. Because as original players of Doomrock will know that, yeah, you can't do anything in Doomrock in 60 minutes. Those games were too long. It was the my main complaint about the game is the games were just way too long for what they were. But so this is a complete and updated version of the cooperative fantasy board game of Doom, where you can die from an arrow to the knee, poor decisions, and dry joke. A 3-act fantasy adventure campaign featuring exploration and combat. While exploration is focused on creating meaningful decisions with impactful results, combat in Doomrock is highly tactical and aims to be fair by introducing a minimum amount of output randomness and rewarding experienced play, all while giving a hardcore challenge. Focus on replayability with scenarios in the spirit of roguelike games generated from over 800 cards, distinct and gridless battle system featuring dice allocation mechanics. I love dice allocation. And 30 unique encounters powered by a highly thematic AI. Power up between encounters by exploring a randomly generated world and resolving quests, triggering events, and scoring epic gear and new abilities that bring unexpected synergies between heroes. Dedicated solo mode featuring semi-autonomous mercenaries. Ooh, that's cool. I like that idea. And a rich crowdfunding edition including 20 heroes, 41 custom dice, metal coins, premium game board and gameplay content, and several modular expansions. And it looks like he kept the I love you sign for the for the tokens there. So he took that mistake and made it into an inside joke. It looks like that's kind of cool. So yeah, let's open this up and see what we get. All of this lovely cardboard. I'm really, really excited for this game. Ultimate Edition rulebook. That is a hefty rulebook. We'll take a closer look at that in a bit. Some kind of border for your board, for your table there, because this is a boardless board game, mainly cards, and you use these big chits here like tokens, and you move them around. So these are your minis. These are your combatants. And we also have some terrain. The art looks really good. All of the art looks like it's been updated, and it has a nice kind of vibrant and modern style. Doesn't look quite as amateurish as the original. We will compare these to the original as towards the end of this video here. And let's see. Yep, the I love you sign is back and badder than ever. All right, so what do we get here? Okay, so we have these are the location cards, definitely bigger. I believe the original location cards for the first edition were actually just poker sized. And then we have all of our encounters, and yep, looks like I will be punching some corners, rounding off some corners very soon. And then we have all of our cards here. So let's take a look at this stack of cards first and see our different locations. So in this game, during your exploration phase, you explore kind of in a point crawl. Think of this as kind of like a point crawl game where you have kind of your settlement, you have your wilderness cards, you have your kind of your settlement cards here, then your mountain cards, and your boss cards. And when you create your world, you will take a certain number of each of these cards and kind of lay out your world. And then you will have to explore these cards. And as you explore them, it is kind of a point crawl system. And so this is kind of the adventure element here. And you will turn these over, and this would have the observatory. And the observatory will have certain things that you can do, and you choose those as actions. So you're not moving around a board, you're not drawing cards for these actions. You're spending time, and you want to do that is in a efficient way, and so that you can get the most benefit in the least amount of time in order to prepare for the next battle. We can scout, we can go shopping here, we can watch the stars, we can cut the lawn. We can go to the gnome catapult, and the gnome catapult we can launch a gnome or something. We can investigate, and then if we go into the mountains here, we can find a monster's den, and we might find a big pile of something. We can find a pile of bones. Maybe it's a comfortable lair that we can camp at, and then finally your journey will eventually end up at your confrontation, and this is where you will have your assault on Doomrock. And this will set up your final fight with the boss. And I think you do 3 bosses. You do one boss, then a mid boss, and then a final boss. And that's an entire game. I don't know if they did anything to make the game quicker. I'm hoping they did because, yeah, like I said at the beginning, the length of the game is one of my major concerns. And it's one of the only reasons why I don't play the game more, just because the game takes way too long for what it is. Here we have abandoned mines. We have the rectangle. That looks like a cube there, right? If a fun escape room was less fun and more deadly, it would look just like this. We have the ruins of Skygear, the deep root ruins there. We have the cursed swamp, the labyrinth, the fallen bastion, the field of slaughter, the haunted ruins, the lonely tower, the mushroom hill, the underground passage, the trapway, the cursed mill, and the monster's den. So lots of different locations to have fun adventures in. And then when we venture off into the wilderness, we have the inconvenient terrain, some floating islands there, the storm fields, ancient battlefield, the borderland, a fishing tower, the riverside, the pirate's lagoon there, an ancient vault, the dark forest, the unexpected desert, the hidden stash, or the kidnapper's lair, or the ruined watchtower, the door, always a mysterious door out in the forest there, an old forest, and the gnome catapult. And then our more kind of settlement style locations, we do have Poisonsville. Okay, I don't want to spend a lot of time in Poisonsville. We have the Barbarian Stronghold, the Doomshire, the Dwarven Keep, Forgotten Temple, the Hero Academy, the Item Shop, the Library, Mage's Tower, Mercenary Camp, Tristram. A cult of nerds calling themselves Harodrims have settled in the town cathedral. The locals want them evicted before they summon something. The Millage, the Witch's Hut, the Town Tavern, and the Observatory. So all kinds of neat places to have adventures there. I do like the adventure system in this game. It's simple. It's fast-paced, and it's fun to make those decisions. Making those decisions is one of the most important parts about the game and how it is played and how it is played well. And then here we have our characters. Actually, let's back up real quick and go back to the rule book. I do want to take a quick look at this. It's a hefty rule book at 52 pages. It covers a lot of stuff. It looks like there are quite a few examples here. So here we have our setup of our adventure phase. As you can see, the various locations there, a secret area deck. You have all kinds of different items. There's a lot of cool loot in this game. Here we have a sample of our battle setup there for when we are facing off against our bosses and their minions. We have a component guide with pictures for everything. Very, very nice. Gameplay overview, errata, extra content, and video tutorials. Okay, so it looks like they're going to be making some digital content for the game. That's always nice. Hero setup, your adventure map, your battle phase. Then we get into the details about the adventure. So it looks like a really well put together rulebook. The rulebook for the first edition wasn't terrible. It's definitely learnable. This looks like it has more examples and more pictures and maybe a little better layout, which is really nice there. Battle setup, the roll phase, yeah, all the different phases there. And we have a nice battle example. So lots of examples. It's always nice when board game rulebooks do come with examples. And then here we have our modular expansions. So this includes the expansions that were available for the first edition. We have our terrain. Terrain is really cool in this game. I really like the way terrain is used. Terrain is just kind of, it's a token, and your characters can, or enemies can be adjacent to the terrain or not adjacent to the terrain. If they're adjacent to the terrain, then they can interact with the terrain depending on the terrain card. Each terrain will have certain things that it can do. It can provide you with cover. Sometimes you can search it to look for things. Sometimes I believe you can use some terrain as improvised weapons. It's a really neat system. The battle phase is almost like a little miniature skirmish game in Assault on Doomrock, and I appreciate that. It's pretty cool. And then it also has a dice allocation system where you roll your d6 and then you can assign different dice to different powers that you have depending on the character that you are playing. Pets, okay. I don't know if pets were in the original. I can't quite remember. Custom ability dice. Oh, that's kind of cool. Goon for solo play. So we have these goons that can join your solo hero. This variant includes a semi-autonomous second hero that has a shared dice pool with the hero. It provides a more convenient way to play solo. Hey, that's great. Really do like that a lot. I'm looking forward to checking that out. Let's see. Conflict resolution variant, a roguelike expansion. So here's your rules for the roguelike. Complete challenges and level up your game by replacing cards with more powerful versions. Oh, that's so cool. This is an expansion that is sold separately from the core product and is not included in the game by default. And a few more little things and a rule summary. So yeah, okay. So overall, I think as of just a quick flip through, I'm pretty happy with what I have seen in the rulebook. Okay, now let's get to some of the other cards here. Let's see here. We have our hero cards here. So these will be our various classes, I believe. Let's take a look here and see what we get in this package. All right, so these are all of our heroes. Looks like our pets here. Pets. And some other things, maybe some powers. So let's see what we have here. We have our Bard, and they are double-sided for male or female. So we have our Bard, we have our Beastmaster, our Blood Mage, a Commander, a Druid, an Elementalist, the Engineer, the Mayor, the Cavalryman, and a Mayor. I wonder how that works, being double-sided like that. Our Fairy and our Mage. We have our Monk, our Necromancer. I really do like this new art. It's pretty cool. Our Paladin, our Hunter, the Rogue, the Cleric, the Skillomancer, same there, the Noblewoman and the Nobleman, a Valkyrie and a Viking. We have our Witch and our Witcherer. And we have our warrior with that giant F-off two-handed sword. I love it there. And our warrior there. All right, so lots of good variety. The characters are really cool and really fun in this game. It's fun to build them out with different powers. It looks like these are all of our pets here. So we have bats, we have a crab, jello, an imp, obsidian, a pug, a Rattus, the Shadow Clone, the Slenderman. Ooh, the Slenderman can help you out there. The Succubus, the T-Rex, the Tentacle, the Baby Unicorn, and the Zombie. All right, here. And then it looks like now we're kind of getting into some of our powers. So here we have our Trapper and our Thug. I believe these are the kinds of some of the people that you can hire to help you in your solo mode. So that's nice there. We have some player aid cards, so that's always nice to see. Look, as we have a cover for our pet deck there. The player aids here for, looks like, ranged and melee. So you have different things for if you're a ranged character or a melee character, different cheat sheets there. That's nice to see. All right, so annoying, arrogant. That's right. So these were, I believe you can have some kind of characteristics, I believe. So you could be like an annoying warrior or an arrogant skillomancer or things like that. I believe that's how that works. It's been a while since I've played. Burning, flying, one punch, real. Those are, let's see here. Are those the powers? Let's check those out. Those are the traits. So traits, and we have overpowered traits and traits. The overpowered traits do have a little star by them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 overpowered traits. Burning, flying, mind-blowing, one punch, and real. And then these are other traits that we can have assigned to our characters. So we can be an arrogant warrior, an arrogant nobleman, an arrogant cleric. Possibly we can be an annoying rogue, an annoying paladin, or an annoying necromancer. Those annoying necromancers always summoning the undead at the worst possible moments. Let's see, we have our terrain. And where's our other traits here for creating characters? So we have camouflaged, we have clumsy, we have novice, confused, wavering, frustrated, grumbling, impatient, oiled, overly heroic, pig riding, ridiculously armored, sadistic, scared, stinky, twitchy, dishonorable, and unstable. Nice. So all kinds of different ways to create your character with different combinations. And here we have our terrain cards. So the terrain cards, these will tell you when you can do certain things when you are adjacent to the terrain, such as here we have the stool. And the stool, if you approach the stool, you may sit on this terrain, unusable if surrounded. You can taunt, use only if adjacent to this terrain. You can gain a token there. You can throw this, so you can use this as an improvised weapon. Move to this terrain, attack, deal 2 damage to a distant enemy, and move this terrain to the something and flip it. So you flip it and it might be damaged or something. So each one of these pieces of terrain will have a card that tells you how you can interact with it. This is so cool. I love this idea. So we have the chest, coal piles, skull stones, the bonfire, the outhouse, the barrel, the evil staring goat, the grappling hook, a weapons rack, the lever of doom, a pile of shields, a table, a trap, and a tree. So all kinds of cool ways to use that different terrain. These here are the setting cards. And so each phase of the game will have a different setting. And so these will modify other parts of the game. This game uses a lot of different cards that modify other cards. And so these are all of the settings. And the settings will have loot tables on there. So depending on the different setting that you are working in, you will have a certain amount of time to explore that setting. And then whenever it references loot or something, then you will roll on that setting's loot chart. And then that will tell you what you have found when you find any loot. And you can find anything from like gold or common items or epic items. And then you can also get certain rewards. And then each of the different locations will also have a little bit of a story, a little bit of flavor text. And sometimes they might also have other powers that you can trigger in that particular setting. So I like this idea. I like the idea of a lot of modifications. So every time you play the game, it is a different experience. Okay, and then we have a bunch of little mini cards. And the mini cards are all of your loot and powers and different ways to level up and different enemies and different, just all kinds of different things here. So let's start opening these up here. Let's see, this back here, I believe this is some epic loot here. Let's see, epic items. Yes, so this back here is some epic items. So let's take a look at these. Now we might as well take a look at, I guess we can thumb through everything available here. So these are all epic items. Man, a lot of loot in this game. So we'll just take a quick look and maybe a detailed look at a few. We have an ambusher's vest, cursed armor of doom, the impaling pauldrons of doom, the amulet of focus, the fistic, not sure what that is, healing orb of doom, I don't know if I would trust a healing orb of doom. We have our potion belt, our vampiric necklace, the vestments of the paladin, the demon string, the chain sword. Nice. That tells you how many hands it takes to wield it, and then what kind of a thing you get to do when you use it in combat. The boomerang axe, the blade, the bladed crossbow, a crossbow with a giant sword attached to it, the blade of the Doompocalypse, the darkest bow, the lightning crossbow, a force wand, a light stick, and a pendulum shovel. And then let's see, it looks like we have a whole other deck that also has some epic loot in there. Let's see what these are, epic items here. Have a few different decks of cards in here. All right, so let's see those. We've got, and these are all different powers, I believe, that the different classes can get. So we have the metamorphing staff, multiple shots, quick arrow, quick shot, quick bow, quick sword, Alex Destiny, the screaming sword, and the King's Blade. So some other epic items there. So those will all get shuffled. Let's take a look at this deck here. So this is our normal items. This is kind of our common items. So you won't find as many like kind of wild things in this deck, but you will find your potions and normal weapons and that kind of thing, normal armor. Okay, quick flip through, make sure these are all the normal items here. Yep, okay, so we have acid flasks, the apprentice's robe, the wrestler's mask, the shield of honorable death, the black heart, the crystal pendant, the lucky charm, pickles. Man, it's kind of crazy how much loot is in this game because every single one of these cards is different. And there's all kinds of different combinations. It's really fun building combinations of characters, powers, and loot and things in this game. You can really come up with some wild combinations. And every time you play the game, Hammer of Doom, it's fun to put together a different combination of things. And I think that's one of the best things about this game. It's just how many different ways you can create your characters and create different types of powers and have different types of situations happening on the table. A little bit more, let's see, more common loot, or a lot more common loot, I should say. Okay, so there are some of the powers that you can get. We'll take a look at those in a minute. So yeah, the deck of common loot is just huge. A Riot Shield, Axe of Doom, the Kupaha, the Heavy Metal Hammer, the Fight Club, that's good. The Fishing Rod, the Poo on a Stick. All right, after moving to a minion, you must move one adjacent minion to a distant group. So you're using the Poo on the Stick to like ward off other minions. It looks like there's maybe a couple of those. Maybe there are some duplicates here, but there aren't a lot of duplicates. The Medicine Ball, the Sickle, a Sword of Doom, a Saber, a Dart Gun, and a Wand of Doom. So yeah, all kinds of cool stuff there. Really, really fun loot deck. And then let's take a look at those. I can't remember. Those are the level up and ability decks. And so these are the cards that when you level up your hero, you can choose different abilities that are available. And these are basically what you're going to be assigning your dice to. When you roll your dice pool, you will then be able to assign those dice to different abilities to trigger different powers. And there are so many different ways, so many different powers in this game to combine with your loot and with your heroes and with their traits. So again, character customization. If you like character customization, Assault on Doomrock is definitely a game you're going to want to pay attention to. We have acrobatics, backstab, salvo, black venom. So some of these will have triggers like unusable if engaged. And so if you are engaged in melee combat, if you have a token next to you of an enemy, you can't use this. This is a crippling barrage there. So that's kind of a ranged attack. We have a dagger throw. Some of the abilities are only used by certain classes or certain traits. So you have to have the arranger, and it's also an AoE. You have to be melee with precision, or a support class, or support, movement support, and so on. So you can't just get anything. There are some things you have to choose while you are making your character, while you are customizing your character. We have a meteor shower. That's a magic and an AoE. Unusable if surrounded. Quickness, the shark missile, the shock, sparks, vampirism, weaken, wither, amputate, back-to-back, battle cry, brutality, cleave, execute, heroic wave, inner power, the Cossack stance, and attack order. And then what else do we have? Here we have lay on hands, the phalanx, the drunken master, nice. The shielding aura, shielding, shrapnel, taunt, throw, vengeance, air slice or slash, a dash, dodge roll. I love that dodge roll. The heart rip, the energy disc, the ruthlessness, spectral blade, stomp, uppercut, amplify, aura of doom, into the fray, light nova, lob shot, shatter, Slam, terrify, use the farce. Come over here. Best buddy attack. High five, the last stand, self-destruct, shadow blade, tactical retreat, and 1,000 paper cuts. So as you can tell, there is a kind of a maybe a little bit of a juvenile sense of humor, a tongue-in-cheek sense of humor. If you like something like maybe Monty Python and the Holy Grail or things like that, then this is another game you might want to check out. Let's see what this deck is here. I don't recognize that at all. That is the Secret Area deck. I think this might be new. I don't remember a Secret Area deck in the original. These are all, this probably has to do with the adventure mode, and if you find a secret area, you draw this and see what you found. You can find mysterious characters, a pet trail, a pool of blood. Always nice to come across a pool of blood whenever you're looking for something. A sugar merchant with a big old thing of cotton candy there. A traveling merchant, a traveling trainer, serious treasure trail, and tunnels. So again, all kinds of different ways to modify other cards. So every time you play a game, you will have different locations, you will have different ways to modify those, and additional ways to modify those. Very cool. All right, so let's take a look here at this deck and see what's in this brick of cards. Let's see how many decks here we have. Those are more, let's see. What are, looks like this is kind of a mixture of different cards here. So all kinds of different things in here. Let's take a look here. A maneuver, some kind of melee maneuver and a range maneuver. I'm not sure what those are for. This deck here, it looks like there's more of those cards, so we'll wait to look at those. We have a few more pieces of epic loot. We have our Wand of Disintegration, our Blood Bow, a few blank cards in case you wanted to make your own. Has anybody ever done that? Has anybody ever used blank components provided in a board game to make your own components? If so, let me know. And here we have a Wand of Blow Everything Up, a Toxic Blade, a Dart Pipe, Cutlery on a Chain, and Dark Pipe, and an Anchor Shield. So that's a little bit more of your common loot. Here we have our different minions, I believe, here. Let's take a look at those. Let's see what these are here. We have our minion activation and our boss activation. So this icon there is for your boss activation. And then these are for your minion activation. So these are kind of your AI decks. They will tell you what to do, I guess. Interesting. They're a suit of cards, or card suits. I don't recall if that's in the original game. I can't remember. We'll have to take a look. So those are all of your cards there. And then these dictate your battle cards. So I believe that these tell you who you are fighting in each stage of the game. So we have our Act 1 cards, your Act 2 cards, and then your Act 3 cards. So in Act 1, you might go up against the Beasts of Doom, Beelzebubzor, the Blob, the Critter Swarm, the Dark Elf Commando, the Angry Mob, the Armored Skeletons, the Exploding Tomatoes, the Shadows, the Trolls, the Zombie Horde. I love that they used that zombie picture from the original. That's super cool. That picture always cracked me up. Spinning Barbarians in Act 2, Poison Drake, the Shaman's Gang, the Imperial Harpies, the Pyromancer, the Shadow Reapers, the Sharknado, Spidors, or the Wraith of Doom. And then your final conflict here against the Blood Rain, the Golem of Doom, Heart of Darkness, the Evilmancer, Hyrocrax, the Doom Strider, the Iron Maidens, the Dark Panda, the Tentacle Monster, or the Fire Dragon. And so these will dictate who you are fighting in which act of the game that you are in. And let's see here. We have one more small deck of cards to open up here. Let's take a look at this. So we have more of these storybook cards. It looks like a lot of these. I'm not quite sure what these are. So yeah, all of these are. Let's see what this deck of cards is here. We have our event deck. Oh, wow. So yeah, that is a nice hefty amount of event cards. Let's see. Let's look at some examples here. Okay, so we can get lost. We can come across a man-eating amoeba, a monster lair, a mountain village, stuff on the floor, volunteers, a zombie walk, a baby thing, the chainmail lingerie exchange. We can find the montage. Left, no, right-handed. Wedding crashers, just ice for Johnny, swirling portal, white rabbit wormhole. Yeah, man, all kinds of cool, funny, and weird things to happen. A secret area discovered. Okay, so that's how you discover your secret areas. There we have our village, our barrels, a dark cellar, dire beavers, the enemy patrol, the fluffy bunny, golden barrels, a golden fish granting a wish, naive merchant, high-level hero, and our tavern tidying. So those are all of our different events there. And then it looks like we have, let's see, we've taken a look at those. We have a few more little cards to take a look at. And these, I believe, are the starting powers for your different classes, I believe, here. Let's see here. We have our, these were our goon maneuvers. So these are what we use. These two cards here are what we use when we're playing solo. And we're using our goons to help our solo hero out, depending on if we are using the ranged goon or the melee goon. Okay. And then what are these? I can't remember what these are called here. We have our maneuver abilities and our starting abilities. That's right. So we have different maneuver abilities. And then depending on the class that we are, we have different starting abilities for each one of the classes. So there should be 2 cards for each of the classes. Just lay all these out. And even our pets and our bard. So we have our bard abilities. The bard can play a solo Song of Doom. The pet can enforce and be unleashed. We have our bloodomancer. I can't remember what that guy was called, but the blood doll, the blood boil, I should say, blood offering. This is, I think, the cleric there, Instill and Tainted Light. And then some of our others, lasers and throw shield here. We have a melee strike, and you can be a tank. I believe that's the necromancer, harvest and hex. Or maybe that was the necromancer. Soul reap and explodomancy. That's probably the necromancer there. But yeah, so that is all of the powers. So when you create your character, you will create a class. You will take a, so the class will have its icon there at the bottom. So that was the Witcherer, that last one we looked at there. So you will take a class, you will take a trait, and then you will take your character's 2 starting powers. And that is that's how your character starts. And then as your character levels up, then you will be able to earn more abilities. So you will have more things to spend your rolled dice on. All right, let's see what else we get. We have some dice here. So we have lots of small little 6-sided dice, different dice with different skulls on there and different symbols. That's really cool. I love this size. It's one of my favorite sizes of D6s. They just feel really nice. And these dice do feel good. I like that. We have some metal coins for when you find your gold. And then you can go to a merchant and spend those. And then we have a few little plastic cubes. I don't remember what those are for. And we have 1 little mini. And this is for your, I believe this is where your party is adventuring, because this is a co-op game and you don't go off and adventure different locations separately. You do everything as a party. So in that sense, it does kind of feel more like a solo game. So you're not going to be going off and doing your own things. And then we have our regular dice there and a bunch of bags. And then finally here, we do have our big old cards here that tell you how to set up each of your battles. So it'll tell you how to set up your table. You put some terrain there. You have a dividing line. You have some training dummies. And then it'll tell you like who you're fighting, how many minions you put out. And your next, that looks a little new. Maybe some different ways that your enemies will engage with you depending on which battle. And so we took a look at all of these small battle cards there, and then these will give you all of the various details of how to handle those different enemies and those different encounters and what their different minions will do As you can see here, when you are up against the critter swarm, you have a whole bunch of different minions. And those minions, each one of those generic tokens will be represented by something, some kind of enemy, and you will have the information. So yeah, pretty cool. Lots of stuff in this game, lots of cardboard. I'm glad that the money went towards cardboard and not towards plastic. That makes me pretty happy. But let's open up the rogue-like expansion real quick and see what you get in here. Okay, the ultimate sold on Doomrock Ultimate Edition rogue-like expansion. So looks like you get more cards here that you will be able to upgrade. Maybe it would have been nice if they had maybe a slightly different back. I don't know. Looks like all kinds of loot for upgrading your various items to get yourself more powerful. And also you can upgrade your abilities. Nice. And those are brand new cards. That deck there, that back there, I wonder what those are called. Let's see here. We have our challenges. At the start of each act, discard all challenges that were not completed and draw 3 new challenges. If a challenge is completed during a session, flip that card face down. Challenges can only be completed once per act. Little achievements or something, so we can do focused, overkill, shopping spree, tactician. So this must be things that we can do during our game in order to level up our various loot. And here we did see that apprentice's robe in our regular loot deck. And it looks like this is like the level 2 version. And so that's how you would level up your market. So each one of these has up to level 2 for all the different kinds of loot that you might find. That's kind of cool there. I like that. So it is a little bit of a progress. So you probably keep your deck, the things you have leveled up, you keep separately. And so that way you know. And then here are some of our abilities that we can level up as we play. So things will change. A little bit of kind of a light legacy mode, a rogue legacy mode. That is super cool. I really do like that a lot. I like that idea. I hope it's implemented well. We'll just have to see. All right, so I'm going to clean this up a little bit and then we'll go and take a look at the original version and just to see how things are different. So one of the biggest differences just that you will notice just from looking at the game on the shelf is the size of the box. The original box is much smaller. A little bit of a different shape, more of a rectangle than a normal square shape, and no insert at all. It looks like the backs of the cards are about the same, and about the same quality, I believe. And they probably used some of the art still. I know that some things have been rewritten, but we have all of our powers from our original game. We do have our terrain. Let's see, let's find the stool in our original terrain here. One thing, the terrain was double-sided in the original, and now it's not in the new one. Where is the stool here? Stool. There it is. So the stool here. So you can kind of see a comparison there, the stool. Yeah, interesting. So there are some differences, and I don't remember why these were double-sided. I think if you used them, then they would switch sides or something like that. Maybe they streamlined things a little bit. I hope they did, just so maybe the game's quicker. I know I've said that before, but I really do hope that the game is a faster paced game. And it looks like, yes, in the original, our events were separated by the type of location. So we did have wilderness events, and we did have mountain events. And now the events are just in one kind of a big single deck. So those don't get separated out. I don't know if you can use things from your first edition. I heard that everything in the first edition is recreated in the second edition, or in this new edition, in the Ultimate Edition. Here we have our different classes. So we did have the Witcherer, the Warrior, the Skillomancer, Paladin, Bard, Common, Commander, Rogue, Mage, Ranger. So there are more classes in this new version, and then the traits also look quite a bit different. All right. And then we did have also our settings deck. And it looks like there are quite a few more settings now than there were in the original cards, and they look about the same. So not a big difference there. All of our loot, the loot cards look pretty much the same. The location cards that you will be exploring are much bigger. So here is one of our mountain cards. I mean, as you can see now, they're giant, kind of like index size cards. So the art's bigger, the text is bigger, just easier to read, a better table presence. However, it will also possibly, or it will take up more space on your table. But that exploration mode doesn't take up a lot of space to begin with. So people with small tables, I'm sure you'll be okay. And then we have all of our tokens. Those were our enemy tokens. Now, one thing we don't get, and that must be why these battle cards are now so big with information on the back. And okay, yeah, so you draw one of these and then you see what it does on the back of the card here. And this tells you how to control your enemies. In the original mode, each of the minions did come with its own deck of AI cards. But it looks like now that those are all being covered by a single deck, and then you access the information on the back of the battle mat. So that could speed things up just because you don't need to prep another deck of cards. And there were quite a few of those. So we had our decks of cards for the tomatoes, the skeletons, the spooky specters, the tentacle monster, the wraith of doom, the zombie horde, the dragon, and yeah, all of our different enemies that you would fight did come with their own little deck of cards. But it looks like they have kind of consolidated that and made those AI cards multi-use, which is probably a good thing. That's all of our terrain there. So the terrain, our devil horn, I love you signs, and your shield tokens there. We have kind of some of our advanced abilities. I didn't see any advanced abilities, did I? Are these all the same? Huh, interesting. So it looks like they did possibly get rid of the advanced abilities. Maybe they consolidated them. Maybe they there's another way to advance your characters into those advanced abilities. I'm not sure. We have our various loot, the tokens. Yeah, weren't those? So this is the second printing. The rulebook is bigger, definitely. And let's see here. We have abilities. Yeah, so I don't know. This old rulebook wasn't bad. I do like the size of this rulebook, that comic book size. It's my favorite size of rulebook. And then our battle mats here were quite a bit smaller. These were more like the size of the new location cards. And now they're even, now they're much bigger here with more information on them. So yeah, that is kind of a quick comparison. I've heard the game is pretty similar, but things have been changed slightly. And hopefully it still is fun. I'm really looking forward to playing this and diving into it. This is kind of one of those games that just doesn't get mentioned a lot. And I think a reason why is because it has been out of print for a long time. It's kind of one of those cult status games where some people really like it, some people don't, but it is unique. And I think most people who at least play it, even if they don't like it, do recognize its kind of unique status. It's a different kind of tactical game. It's a different kind of adventure game. It's a game that I think takes some chances and does some new and interesting things. And as far as I know, there's still really not another game like Assault on Doomrock out there. So I'm really happy that it's back in print. I hope it stays in print. I hope that people can buy it who maybe missed out on the Kickstarter. I don't know. Or on the crowdfund. I don't think this was on Kickstarter. It was on GameFound or something. But yeah, so here's hoping that other people can get it after maybe they've been enticed by the videos that I'm sure will be appearing on YouTube. Well, all right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this kind of detailed unboxing and quick comparison of Assault on Doomrock, the Ultimate Edition. And we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.